Welcome to the best betting show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Week 7 player props. Feeling good going into this week. Also, the cover athlete, Zay Flowers, hit in 5 minutes. That was good. Let's get to the first one. We got Breece Hall against the Steelers. I'm going over 25.5 on the receiving yards. This moved down from since I moved the thumbnail. And listen, there's a lot of talk about Davante Adams, and I get it. We're all human. We're all excited. But I think this is going to be more like the Tennessee game script. I think it's going to be ugly, and I think the Jets are going to wake up in the second half. A big part of the Jets waking up in the second half of that Titans game was Breece Hall. They flexed him out as a wide receiver, as an X, and he was the one who made the play that changed the landscape of the game. Plus, we're seeing the Jets go heavy with the screen game. Has it worked? Great. Not really. But they're trying, and they're going to get him touches, and simply they better get him touches. And honestly, man, I've been underwhelmed with this Steelers defense this year. I feel like a lot of Tomlin's schemes are mid. We're seeing a lot of zone. And I just don't think that's viable against someone like Breece Hall. He had his breakout day against the Bills. I just don't see that momentum stopping. I know we got Allen in the backfield, who was very good at catching the ball, but I'm going Breece Hall over the 25.5. I'll even go up to 28, 29 on it. Nuts pick. We got Kyle Pitts over under 39.5 receiving yards. Listen, I know no one's going to like this. When you say Kyle Pitts, you just think of disappointment, despair, letting you down. He didn't finish a route, a fade pattern in the Panthers game. If he would have finished the route, it might have been a dime by Kirk. It was a beautiful throw. But I'm looking to get against the Seahawks defense. They have one of the worst linebacking cores in the league. Their secondary is completely banged up. There's not going to be any Reek Woolen. The second string quarterback, who is also terrible, isn't going to be out there. So I feel like this Hawks defense is exposed. Maybe Robertson Harris helps the Seahawks run defense, so it's not one-way traffic like it's been through the first 6 weeks. But I still feel like this is a good game for Kyle Pitts. I still am going with what I said going into the year. I feel like Kirk is the perfect combination for Kyle Pitts, and we're seeing a little bit of synergy. I'm not saying bet the house on this, but we got to admit, we are seeing a little bit of synergy. And if you're looking at this Falcons-Hawks game, you have to have some sort of play on the over yards, whether it be the total for the game or over yards. DK Metcalf is also tantalizing, although 68.5, 69.5 is an awful lot. Next one, we got Amon Ross St. Brown over under 75.5 yards. I'm going under. When I think of the Vikings defense, I think of Harrison Smith roaming around the line of scrimmage, playing a robber type position. But more importantly, in this new age Brian Flores defense, I think of Josh Metellus getting underneath routes. I think of turnovers, and I think of pressure on the quarterback. You guys know I'm excited about Goff, but I do think there's going to be a little bit of drop-off performance. Plus, I also think the key to this game is Lions running the ball. I think they're going to go run heavy. We know that's what they did against Dallas, and you saw what it opened up. And I also think Jameson Williams is going to eat. I think that's the matchup they need to exploit more so than Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a player prop god, so I do not want to go against him, and I don't take this lightly. It's a little bit wild. Next one, we got Jordan Addison. Listen, everyone's on the Jefferson one, and My expectations are high for Justin Jefferson, and I'm sure his expectations are higher, but I'm going over the 52.5 for Jordan Addison. I feel like he's an underrated, undervalued player. He completely did his ankle against the Giants, and I feel like this is going to be the first week we see him fully healthy and fully full go. Now, I don't know if Hawkinson's going to play, and I think that's going to cut down on targets. But if you're Detroit, they play a lot of man-to-man, and you got to think that safety's going to be over the top of Justin Jefferson at all times, or it's pretty much suicide. So I think Addison has the favorable matchup here. I really like him in this game. I'm going over the 52.5. Coop also had this on Discord. He gave me the idea, and I'm running with it. That man has been absolutely prolific on Patreon with the prop picks. It's a historic run. Next, and we'll get Coop on. We'll get Coop on, I promise. He had to work on Friday. I asked him to do it Friday. He had to work. We'll get him on. Next pick, we got Njoku over 42.5. Another one I agreed with Coop on. And when I think of the Browns, when their offense has at least a little bit of synergy, if we can call it that, I think of bootleg, dumping the ball down to Njoku and letting that man work with Viak. I think he's one of the best tight ends in the league with Viak. And you trade Amari Cooper, and that's going to just augment the targets for Njoku. And Njoku's another guy like Addison. He really did his ankle bad, and he's finally getting back to full strength. I like his matchup against the Bengals defense. I think that Bengals defense last week against Danny Dimes, or whatever you want to call him, I think that was a little bit of an admiration. Credit to the Bengals defense, but it was a little bit of an admiration, boys. Like, let's be honest, outlier and all that stuff. Next pick. I don't know if I feel good about this. Maybe I'm just a little bit punch drunk. But Garret Wilson over 52.5. There's no science here. My expectations are pretty low for Davante Adams. I think he's going to be a mere decoy this game. I think we're going to see more of Davante Adams getting fed in the red zone. And we got to just take a minute to understand like how good Garret Wilson is. He's one of the slickest route runners in this league. He's tough, not afraid to go over the middle. And we finally saw some big plays against the Bills. And, I'm surprised. That Bills secondary is no joke, especially Hamlin and Rapp at safety. I didn't see that arc coming, but Garret Wilson was able to eat, man. There is not a lot of science on this one. I am just feeling the vibe. I get the matchup. I get the fundamentals, but I'm going with it. Next one. This isn't the strongest read. Let's be honest about it. And I'm going to go with a parlay. I'm going to go Drake Maye over 200. And then I'm going to go Demario Douglas over 49.5. I think Drake Maye is going to have a good game. And one thing I was saying yesterday on the call-in show, I feel like field conditions could favor the Patriots. Now, let me get into some data. The pressure rate that the Patriots faced against the Texans was way lower than the Jacoby Brissett era. That's because Drake Maye is someone who's supremely athletic, and his rushing yards is also interesting. But I feel like he keeps the defense honest. Yes, this Patriots offensive line is a wreck. On paper, this Jags defensive line should destroy them. But there's going to be 2 quarters where this Jags defense just doesn't show up. They're a non-functioning entity. For 2 quarters, they'll look like a top 10 defense. That's just been the trend with the Jags. It's not even like this year's dumpster fire, even when they're 8-3. And I feel like Demario Douglas is the best receiver on the Patriots. I know Polk has been playing pretty good, but give me Demario Douglas, over 49.5 with Drake Maye parlay over 200. Next one, we're going to the Packers-Texans. This is another one that's going against the grain. I'm going Stroud over 1.5 touchdowns. I think it's plus 100. I think it's good odds. I respect this Packers defense, but I also think you can throw it on them. Every single Rams playmaker was out on the outside and Matty Stafford was still able to cut them up and Kyler Murray wasn't. And I know going into Lambeau is a completely different situation, but I like Stroud this game. I like how he's playing in the red zone. I think the Packers will be sturdy against the run, even though we saw the Texans get it going. Take that with a big grain of salt, though, because it is the Patriots, and that defense had negative game flow due to the turnovers from Drake Maye. But, yeah, give me Stroud over 1.5 touchdowns. Next one, I love this one, by the way. Xavier Worthy over 39.5 receiving yards. Someone's got to eat. And I know everyone's pointing towards Juju, and I do wonder, like, how much run is Kelsey going to get this game? Because Fred Warner's playing the best football of his career, and that's not hyperbole. And we see him lurking over the middle where Kelsey likes to operate. Like, of course, Reed is going to get designs and Mahomes is going to get him the ball. But I think Xavier Worthy, honestly, man, like, I get the production hasn't been there, but I think he can replace Rashee Rice. Like, I'm not saying he's as good, but I think he can. And I think someone has to eat in this equation. And I'm just not high on Juju Smith. And I'm really low on this 49ers secondary. I think they're bad. And they also have an injury to Ward. Like, I think he'll be back, but I am still worried about this 49ers defense. I'm not sure there's much we can hang our hat on besides Warner and the Bosa brother. They got 2 elite players. Other than that, give me Mahomes, give me Xavier Worthy coming out party. Next one, no one's going to like this one. I think he's one of the most overrated players in the league. Michael Pittman, over 45.5. Man, I'm going over. He finally started playing better ball. His first 4 weeks were absolutely treacherous to watch, and he let Anthony Richardson down. Now, I get it. Everyone would feel better if we had Flacco, but this would also be up above 50 if they had Flacco. But I do want to give a little bit of a silver lining for Colts fans. I felt like AR was absolutely excellent against the Steelers. It was the best football I've seen him play, especially from an accuracy standpoint. Like, listen, we go back to the Bears game and he's missing guys wide open down the field. He could have threw 6-7 interceptions. But I feel like he's going to clean his game up, and honestly, his job's on the line. Do I think he should be starting? No. But I also think Pittman's playing better, and I also think these Colts wide receivers let him down the first 4 or 5 weeks. Jonathan Taylor's going to be out again. Like, I know the Colts are going to run it, and I think Anthony Richardson will run it. I don't think he's going to go timid. So that's where I'm at. I'm going Breece over 25.5 receiving yards. I'm going Kyle Pitts over 39.5 receiving yards. I'm going Amon Ross St. Brown under 75.5 receiving yards. Don't like it, but I have to do it. Jordan Addison over 52.5 receiving yards. And Njoku over 42.5. Garret Wilson over 52.5. Drake Maye over 200 with Demario Douglas over 49.5. We have to do that because the variation with the Patriots, we don't know what we're going to get. CJ Stroud over 1.5 touchdowns. Xavier Worthy over 39.5, and the Pittman over. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe.